Chapter 1. The morning sun gently wakes me as it streams through my window. I take a moment to enjoy the quiet of my room before getting up, ready to face another day. My life follows a predictable pattern, like a well-rehearsed routine. This morning, like every other, I'll head to the university to continue my studies in technology. Next semester, I'll finally graduate and become a full-fledged member of the Consortium. My future is bright. A position at a prestigious company, perhaps even La Vie, where I'll contribute to groundbreaking discoveries that will advance our society. It's a path I've envisioned since childhood, inspired by my parents. I'm driven by a thirst for knowledge, eager to unlock the secrets of physics and master every tool available. The world outside my window is a well-oiled machine, orchestrated to perfection by the Consortium. It runs like clockwork, smooth, organized, flawless. I'm proud to be a part of this harmonious system, especially during these uncertain times. Rising to a sitting position, I survey the familiar surroundings of my room, my sanctuary of order and knowledge. The walls are like galleries of technical art, proudly displaying shelves laden with my treasures, instruments that have measured more physical secrets than I could ever hope to uncover in a lifetime. The robots are silent witnesses to my engineering adventures and misadventures. It's a bit like living in my own museum where each piece tells a story, an achievement, a puzzle solved. My desk is a jungle of organized chaos, populated by an ecosystem of tools and electronic gadgets. Flyby, my engineering masterpiece robot, my pride, and my personal bane for the first 3 months of cohabitation. Designed to be the ultimate mosquito terminator, it instead specialized in the delicate art of targeting me. Can you imagine? Countless sleepless nights spent developing a mosquito hunter, and all I got was a laser-wielding roommate with an unfortunate tendency to confuse its creator with an insect. Then, a stroke of genius hit me. If Flyby was mistaking its creator for its prey, it was a matter of frequency. Mosquitoes flap their wings with an annoying grace, sure, but it's predictable. After a few adjustments to the code, what am I saying, an algorithmic revolution? Flyby became an air sniper, a virtuoso of laser pest control. And me? I finally got to stop wearing sunglasses constantly in my room. Standing in front of the mirror, I examine myself with the detached curiosity of a scientist studying a specimen. My reflection reveals a young woman with a cascade of fine, straight hair that dances around my face, never quite settling on my shoulders. My large, prominent eyes gleam with an insatiable thirst for knowledge, like a creature on the verge of a major discovery, even though the ultimate truth remains elusive. Attempts to style are as futile as a poorly designed experiment, a guaranteed disaster. My hair in its simplicity is a reflection of my unadorned soul. And makeup? Who needs it when you're planning to spend the day dissecting the mysteries of physics and technology? My skin, often illuminated only by the harsh glow of my computer screen during late-night study sessions, is pale and translucent. But beneath this delicate exterior lies a burning passion and a whirlwind of ideas, much like a meticulously controlled experiment that conceals the potential for chaos. I've always believed that every question has an answer, a hidden truth waiting to be unearthed. But sometimes I wonder if it's not the answers that elude me, but the questions themselves. Perhaps the questions I don't ask, the ones lurking in the shadows, hold the key to the understanding I seek. Enough with the existential pondering, I chide myself, tapping my reflection with a finger. You have a busy day ahead, no time for philosophical musings in front of the mirror. The morning broadcast of the Consortium fills the room, updating on the ongoing efforts to maintain peace and stability. In a solemn and commanding tone, the presenter's voice resonates. Citizens, you are listening to the live transmission of the Consortium, your infallible source of information. Today, we bring you the latest updates on our government's tireless efforts to maintain peace and stability in our great nation. Our loyal forces are working relentlessly to ensure the safety of each one of you, courageously confronting the threats to our established order. The voice slightly hardens as it introduces the next topic. We also wish to inform you of the disruptive activities of rebels in the border territories. These agitators seek to sow chaos and destabilize the peace. Their presence is an insult to our unity and strength. The Consortium assures that all necessary measures are being taken to neutralize these threats and protect our citizens. A mention of rebel activities ignites a flicker of disdain within me. Why can't they see the order and safety we have? Why choose chaos and disruption? To me, these rebels are the antithesis of all I stand for. The broadcast continues, the presenter's voice taking on a more festive tone. The 38th anniversary of peace is just 10 weeks away. This landmark agreement, achieved through the dedication of the early councils and signed by the regions of Europe, America, and Asia, ended 7 years of conflict and ushered in an era of prosperity and security. To commemorate this momentous occasion, there will be parades, inspiring speeches, and grand spectacles. We encourage all citizens to join in the festivities and show their support for our great nation. Together, let's celebrate our unity and reaffirm our commitment to peace and stability. The familiar weight of my backpack, filled with all the tools I need for my tech explorations, feels comforting as I sling it over my shoulders. The tech lab, my sanctuary, is calling, a place where my ideas can bloom and come to life. I step out of my room, located in a bustling neighborhood in the eastern suburbs. The morning sun is already warming the narrow streets, where the shops and apartment buildings are slowly coming to life. The smell of fresh bread wafts from a nearby bakery, mixing with the chatter of passers-by and the rumble of early morning delivery trucks. People stream past me, their footsteps and conversations creating a rhythmic hum that signals the start of a new day. A crisp autumn breeze sweeps down the street, a sharp contrast to the warmth of my bed just moments ago. The air carries a hint of change, a subtle scent of decaying leaves. This morning is different. My gaze falls on a group of outcasts, their presence unusual in this neighborhood. In fact, I've never observed them this closely before. However, their image is familiar to me. I often see them on screens during daily news broadcasts. I stand there, watching them, fascinated by this unexpected scene. I'm not the only one. Other passers-by with wide eyes do the same and whisper among themselves in low voices. Like ghosts, the outcasts rummage the trash cans next to my building, with quick movements and sharp eyes scanning the surroundings. Their clothes are worn, some with holes or rough stitches where they've been repaired. The shoes are scuffed and damaged, with soles sometimes half detached. Several wear coats too large for them worn at the sleeves. The colors once bright are now dull and faded. A young boy among them catches my attention. He must be about 14 or 15 years old. His clear blue eyes lively meet mine, and for a moment he seems as intrigued by me as I'm by him. I should look away, keep moving on my path, but I can't. His expression hardens, and his gaze takes on a challenge, a silent provocation that seems oddly out of place on his youthful face. He approaches, and my heart races. Fear and curiosity intertwine within me. "Hey, miss, do you have something to eat?" His voice, barely a whisper, cuts through the morning air, his simple question laden with meaning. We are far from the city's outskirts, the undergrounds, their kingdom. I'm paralyzed, anxiety twisting in my mind. Is this a ruse? There's no food shortage in the world protected by the Consortium. In the news broadcasts, I see the city services perform regular distributions. Are they dangerous? Are they part of a rebel group planning a coup? News bulletins overflow with stories of disorder, factions fighting against the Consortium's authority. But there, faced with this young boy, whose eyes hold an unsettling maturity for his age, I'm unable to associate the image of danger with his seemingly innocent quest for food. My imagination runs wild, envisioning scenarios, each more frightening than the last. Suddenly, the roar of engines tears through the air. 5 police cars, metallic shells in the rising sun, rush in with calculated precision. The doors slam, metallic echoes that startle me. 3 officers per vehicle, imposing figures in full armor, disembark, visors down. They form a wall of steel and determination. Their steps, rhythmic and threatening, echo on the pavement, muffled screams, shouted commands. Omega maneuver, surround and capture, all merge into a cacophony of distressed cries and commanding voices. They encircle the outcasts, now trapped, easy prey, in the urban arena. Everything happens very quickly. Each gesture, measured and brutal, is a demonstration of force, a sharp reminder of the merciless order in the city. In this confrontation, the outcasts are defenseless, their inevitable downfall unfolding to the muffled rhythm of collapsing bodies and clanking handcuffs. One by one, they are subdued, forced to kneel on the cold ground. The young boy is also on his knees, a river of blood escaping from his nose. His icy blue eyes do not betray fear, but rather reveal a disturbing mix of defiance and unspoken accusation. It's incomprehensible. Despite the harshness of his appearance and the perilous situation he's in, there's a captivating strength in his gaze. It speaks of a life lived in the shadow of the city's shiny facade, revealing an unshakable spirit in the face of the harsh reality of his world. Methodical in their interrogations, the police soon load the group into a transport vehicle, likely headed for the outskirts. In our city, the rules for residency are stringent and unyielding. To be granted the status of a city citizen, one must contribute directly to the city's core institutions, either by working in the industry sectors that fuel the economy or by serving in the military, which ensures safety and compliance with the consortium's directives. A smaller portion finds employment in the various community services. These roles, while considered lesser, still contribute to the functioning and order of our society. Those who fail to secure such positions or who choose not to align themselves with these key institutions face a harsh reality. They are outcasts, pushed to the fringes of society. These individuals, along with their families, are relegated to live in the underground sectors that sprawl on the outskirts of the city. Here, away from the gleaming heart, they exist in a shadowy world, largely forgotten and ignored by the thriving center. This system of categorization is rigid and unforgiving. Once a family is labeled as outcasts and sent to live in these peripheral areas, their chances of returning to city life diminish drastically. The consortium's control over housing permits and residential statuses is ironclad, making it nearly impossible for those relegated to the outskirts to obtain a permit that would allow them to reside within the city again. The outcasts, as they are commonly known, navigate a life devoid of the privileges and opportunities afforded to citizens. Around me, the city's relentless pace continues. Passers-by have resumed their walk, with faces and conversations picking up exactly where they left off. I remain there for a brief moment, absorbed in the drama unfolding before me. Overhead, the digital screens adorning the buildings flicker with updates and community announcements, yet they remain silent about the scene before me. The city's broadcasts focus on the positive, the advancements in stability. The minor disturbances, like the one unfolding now, rarely make it to the news. Major crackdowns in the outskirts, however, are publicized as examples of the police's diligence in maintaining order. I can't help but wonder about the motivations driving these outcasts. Are they here out of desperation, compelled to breach the city's invisible barriers to scrape out a meager existence? Or do they harbor a deeper, more perilous intent, aligning with the rebellious factions that covertly challenge the consortium's authority? Lost in these thoughts, I continue on my way, the city's order and the underlying currents of dissent coexisting in a complex, uneasy harmony. The idea of rebellious activities happening right under the noses of the consortium is both frightening and intriguing. It disrupts the narrative of peace and order we've been fed, suggesting a current of dissent flowing right beneath the surface. As the group was ushered into the vehicle and the doors closed with a definitive thud, I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. In my mind, these actions, however harsh they may appear, are necessary. They are the price we pay for the order that keeps our society from spiraling into chaos. The consortium's presence, their unyielding control over the city, is something I've always accepted as essential. In a world teetering on the edge of disorder, their authority is the steadying force, the assurance of continued stability in our lives. I continue through the crowds, the path to the university unfolding smoothly under my feet. The bustling hum of the suburb gradually gives way to the scholarly aura of the university. Here, the world seems to shift around me. The vibrant pulse of daily life seamlessly transitions to the lively chatter and laughter of students, a symphony of youthful voices that resonates with the energy and aspirations of the campus. Our university stands like a majestic phoenix rising from the post-war ruins, nestled in the eastern part of the city, mere steps from my student residence. Rebuilt in the aftermath of devastation, it stands as a monument to hope and the visionary ideals championed by the first post-war government. Damaged structures were fortified, and state-of-the-art laboratories sprung from the ground, bearing witness to an insatiable thirst for knowledge and the urgent need for scientists and engineers. These scholars, once architects of technological supremacy during wartime, have become pioneers of a new era. During the conflict, their worth was demonstrated through contributions to armament technology and cyber warfare, but in times of peace, their mission has evolved to shape the rebirth of a world torn asunder by conflict. I often strive to comprehend the struggles faced by the post-war survivors. My parents were mere children then, their playground the remnants of a world devastated by conflict, a landscape tainted by chemicals and radiation. Basic necessities like food and clean water were luxuries. Yet, they thrived and later joined the ranks of scientists, playing a pivotal role in the rebuilding of our society under the Consortium's guidance, a structured yet peaceful state. My admiration for my parents is unwavering. Their unyielding dedication to forging a better world has ignited my own journey. Like them, I chose the path at Lugdunum University. In just a semester, I'll finalize my studies, ready to lend my knowledge towards the development of new, more efficient machines and tools that will continue to redefine our society. The Consortium ensures peace and safety, a mantle taken up by the major companies aligned with them. Together, they are revitalizing our world, fashioning machines and systems that bolster our lives in profound ways. As I walk towards the university buildings, my heart swells with a sense of purpose. I'm not just a student. I'm a future contributor, a part of this grand design, a design that my parents and many before them helped shape. It's a legacy I'm proud to continue, a contribution to a society that, despite its past, looks towards a future of peace and prosperity. The cafeteria near the large lecture hall is a bustling hub of activity. Upon entering, I'm overwhelmed by the energy of the place. Here, amidst the students, the atmosphere is vibrant and full of life. Among this sea of smiling faces, I often feel like a penguin at a flamingo party, conspicuously out of place, waddling awkwardly through the festivities. My smiles are rare, fleeting, and possibly indicative of impending disasters. At parties, I'm more of a naturalist on an expedition than a dance floor queen, perfectly happy to sip my drink and watch the fascinating rituals of close socialization unfold before my eyes. I have also honed the skill of assuming alternate personas when necessary, of navigating situations with strategic foresight. In this lively, chaotic setting of the cafeteria, I'm reminded that the university is more than just a place of learning. It's a microcosm of society, a place where different paths intersect, where futures are shaped, and where, for a brief moment, we can experience the freedom of youth. I find a spot at the end of a long table, the noise of conversations washing over me like a familiar tide. My breakfast is simple, but my attention isn't on the food. It's on the fragments of discussions floating in the air. Around me, the cafeteria is a kaleidoscope of conversations, but one in particular snags my attention. A group nearby is fervently discussing the latest topic that's ignited everyone's interest, the personal rating system. I pause, my spoon hovering mid-air, as I listen in on their passionate exchange. Some are all for it, praising the Consortium for its move towards a more transparent society. Others are skeptical, worried about the system's potential to control us. "It's genius, honestly," proclaims a student with zealous enthusiasm, flailing his arms. "Think about it. A system that appraises our contributions to society, it's the zenith of fairness." "Not so fast," rebuts another, her tone doubtful. "Isn't it just another way to dominate us?" A girl across the table, fidgeting with a pencil, voices with a shade of skepticism in her voice. "The idea of calculating our every action feels a tad too confining, perhaps." The debate escalates, voices clashing as they assess the merits and pitfalls of the system. "But it's about responsibility," argues the first student. "Positive actions celebrated, negative ones discouraged. It's impartial, monitored by a mega calculator. It's a piece of upcoming legislation, one that's poised to transform the very fabric of our society." As explained by a student across the table, whose enthusiasm seems to know no bounds, the system will evaluate each individual based on their societal contributions. Positive actions will accumulate points, while negative ones will deplete them. These points, then, will become the yardstick for everything from one's income to societal privileges, all overseen by a supercomputer, an impartial arbiter of our existence. In my mind, a warning bell resounds. Openly expressing such doubts can be dangerous. These aren't just idle musings. They could be interpreted as an incitement to rebellion, especially under the vigilant gaze of the peacekeepers. Though invisible, their presence is always looming, whether in person or through the unyielding eyes of surveillance cameras. Their role is to enforce order, to suppress any whispers of unrest that might jeopardize the fragile balance of our peaceful society. But what's the use in questioning? Our voices won't change the Council's decisions. It's their choices that shape our reality, and we must learn to navigate within their boundaries. For me, the Consortium has always been a symbol of stability, ensuring our safety in a world teetering on chaos. The personal rating system seems like another step towards maintaining order. As I sip my coffee, observing the bustling crowd, I wonder about the impact of these debates on young minds. Freedom of thought comes with responsibility. Unchecked dissent can divide our community, undermining our unity. Perhaps, I muse, there is a need for a more structured approach to debate on campus. A forum where ideas can be challenged, but under the guidance of those well-informed about the complexities of our societal systems. Such a measure would not muzzle dissent, but could ensure that criticism is informed, constructive, and ultimately beneficial to our community. Now is not the time for such questions, I tell myself, questions that the rebellious voices around me seem so intent on planting. Their dissent feels perilous, unsettling. My path is clear. My future. I've always had faith in the Council's guidance, believing in their wisdom and foresight, trusting that they understand the larger picture, even when we don't. Gathering my things, I leave the cafeteria, the lively debates fading into the background. The day ahead holds its own challenges, but I'm eager for the intellectual stimulation of my classes. Entering the advanced physics classroom feels like stepping into a sanctuary of tranquility. Surrounded by cutting-edge technology, the holographic displays respond to our every touch, illuminating the room with a dance of technical data. This is Professor Alden's domain, a sanctuary of theoretical physics where my mind thrives. The professor, with his silver hair and eyes etched with wisdom, seems to hold the secrets of the universe in his calm, steady demeanor. His unique hair, untamed and lively, sets him apart even from afar. It crowns a face etched with lines of wisdom, yet still aglow with an insatiable thirst for knowledge. He has the rare gift of clarity, making even the most complex concepts accessible to all, patiently unraveling the mysteries of physics to even those who struggle to grasp them. Beneath prominent, bushy eyebrows, his eyes twinkle with a blend of sharp intellect and playful cunning as they take in the room. Dressed in his customary fashion, a well-loved sweater paired with practical trousers, he embodies the quintessential image of an affable, yet somewhat unconventional scholar. To me, he's more than a teacher. He's a mentor. Our conversations, often stretching long after the class has ended, delve into the depths of theoretical quandaries. We ponder over the fabric of reality. Is it fundamentally woven by the principles of general relativity? Or is it an emergent phenomenon as suggested by quantum mechanics? These discussions challenge the very core of my understanding, pushing me to question the nature of causality and the passage of time itself. As Professor Alden starts his lecture, my world narrows to the formulas and equations that float around us, materializing like specters of knowledge. As he presents us with a particularly intricate problem, my response is almost reflexive. My hand shoots up in the air. He acknowledges me with a nod, and I can feel a sudden shift in the room as all eyes turn in my direction. I take a deep breath, steadying my voice before diving into the heart of the problem. The key, I start, lies in considering the Higgs field's interaction within a curved spacetime continuum. By applying quantum field theory, specifically the nuances of perturbative quantum chromodynamics, we're able to enhance the precision of our particle behavior predictions. The outcome, I continue, is a discernible alteration in both particle acceleration and decay rates. As I express these ideas, I'm sharply conscious of the varying reactions they elicit around the room. Some of my peers look on with a spark of admiration, enthralled by the intricacies of the concept. Others, however, their expressions fade into hues of boredom, a reminder that not everyone shares my zealous enthusiasm for the minutiae of particle physics. Professor Alden's expression transforms, showing a blend of approval and perhaps a flicker of surprise at the depth of my analysis. "Precisely, Miss Voss," he says. "Your understanding of the complex interplay between quantum fields and space-time curvature is notably astute." Honestly, right then, I just wanted the floor to swallow me whole. Vanish! Poof! Gone! I often get so ensnared in the complexities of scientific analysis that I neglect the unspoken rules of social engagement with my peers. It's a balancing act I've yet to master. The realization hits me, in my eagerness to delve into theoretical physics, I've probably alienated myself further from my classmates. So, let's be realistic. My odds of scoring a date with a classmate at the next keg party are as slim as finding a unicorn in my sock drawer. Double crap. As for my external presentation, not exactly a standout specimen in the human population, what with my ordinary brown hair and wide brown eyes, my initial observations suggest that I tend to momentarily capture the attention of males exhibiting boy-next-door characteristics. However, this initial interest undergoes a rapid decay, much like an unstable isotope, as soon as I delve into the subjects that truly electrify my neurons, science and its myriad wonders. Based on empirical evidence, often derived from socially awkward experiences, I have come to the conclusion that my passion for subjects such as quantum fields and the curvature of space-time does not act as an effective aphrodisiac on the male population. This observation is particularly pronounced within the subgroup that attracts me visually, which displays a predominance of interests focused on physical fitness and sports activities. Even venturing into the realm of digital debate, such as the intriguing question of whether complex cloud structures increase cybersecurity risks, tends to attract a very niche audience. This subset, while intellectually stimulating, tends not to set off the kind of chemical reactions in my brain that could be categorized as being aroused sexually at all. Thus, in the complex algorithm of social interactions, especially when it comes to interacting with graphically blessed members of the opposite sex, I have found it wise to adopt a tactical approach. This involves consciously suppressing my inner science enthusiast during social events. I have become adept at maintaining a facade of simplicity in conversation, steering clear of the intellectually titillating realms of theoretical physics. Instead, I find myself wading through the shallow waters of mainstream small talk. It's a curious paradox. The vibrant, inquisitive scientist cloaked in a veneer of mundane normalcy to blend into the social landscape. In Professor Alden's class, however, I often find myself momentarily forgetting these meticulously crafted social algorithms. Oh, well, my carefully maintained social image evaporated into the ether of my excitement. As the bell rings, signaling the end of the class, I quickly pack up my things. I overhear snippets of my classmates' conversations about weekend plans and social events, their words blending into a background hum that I choose not to tune into. In this advanced academic environment, I'm both a standout and a stranger, acutely aware of the paradox of my existence. It was a reminder that, despite my efforts to fit into the expected social mold, my love for science is an integral part of who I'm, something that I couldn't, and perhaps shouldn't, always hide away. Later, leaving the academic buildings behind, I find myself gravitating towards a familiar spot on campus, a secluded bench under an old, sprawling tree. It's a place of solace where I often come to collect my thoughts. As I observe the sunset, the light spectrum breaks down into visible wavelengths, creating a chromatic range of orange and pink hues. Engulfed in the atmospheric display of refraction and dispersion, I relish this moment of solitude. The sudden buzz of my communicator interrupts the serene scene. A call from my parents is unexpected at this hour, and a flutter of unease stirs in my stomach as their faces appear on the screen. Mom displays dark circles under her eyes and more pronounced lines than usual. Her hair, typically styled meticulously, appears somewhat disheveled. On Dad's face, his eyebrows are furrowed, etching deep lines across his forehead. They look tired, more so than usual, and concern immediately tightens its grip on me. "Hi, Mom, Dad." I greet them, trying to mask my worry with a smile. "Is everything okay?" Their hesitant exchange of looks confirms my fears. Dad, a brilliant scientist who has dedicated his life to La Vie, the leading conglomerate under the European Consortium, begins to explain their situation. His words are heavy, each one laden with a sadness that I've never seen in him before. "We've been hit with some financial troubles, Eva," he says, his voice faltering, betraying a rare vulnerability. He, a pillar of strength and intellect in my eyes, now reflects the uncertainty that has crept into their lives. Mom, a marine biologist who shares Dad's passion for science and always worked alongside him, reaches out, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. As my dad's more solemn than I've ever heard breaks through the silence, a knot forms in my stomach. "Darling, there's something we need to explain," he says, and I brace myself. "It's the new policies," my mom continues, her voice laced with a strain that pierces me. "Recent changes have forced us into early retirement. We've been retired for 3 months now." The words hit me like a physical blow. Their life's work, dedicated to science and the betterment of our world, abruptly deemed non-essential? It's unthinkable. But why? "Your work is critical," I stammer out, the desperation in my voice mirroring the panic in my heart. "There's still so much contamination on the ground and in the water. Your involvement in the cleaning processes is vital." The heavy sigh that comes from my dad only deepens my fear. "It seems our research doesn't align with the Consortium's new agenda," he says, a bitterness now seeping into his words. The realization that the Consortium, the cornerstone of our society, could so easily discard the invaluable contributions of my parents is staggering. "But you'll get a pension, right?" I ask, clinging to the hope that at least they won't be left in financial ruin. The silence that follows is heavy. "That's the hardest part," my mom's voice breaks through, weaker now. "Our promised pensions have been delayed. Without explanation, without reason. We're not even sure anymore if we'll receive them." The foundation of my world crumbles. My parents with little savings, how are they supposed to survive? "How can this happen?" I whisper, disbelief clouding my thoughts. "A mistake. It has to be a mistake. Something that can be fixed, rectified." "We're trying to understand it ourselves," my dad admits, his voice a mix of resignation and disbelief. The revelation hits me. All this time, my parents, my role models, who have fostered my love for science and supported my academic endeavors, have been struggling in silence. I've been so engrossed in my own world that I've been blind to theirs. "Mom, Dad, why didn't you tell me earlier?" I ask, a mix of guilt and concern weighing heavily on me. "We always believed we could sort it out," Dad says with a resigned smile. "But it's proving to be harder than we thought." My mind races as they speak, trying to process this new, jarring reality. "But what will you do now?" I ask, the concern in my voice clear. "How can you manage without the pensions?" "We're exploring different options, my dear," Mom replies, the corners of her mouth attempting to form a smile that carries more resignation than optimism. "Maybe consulting work or part-time positions. We're scientists after all. We adapt." I give a nod, yet within me, a sense of helplessness persistently gnaws. The plight they face feels profoundly unjust, sharply contrasting with the principles of progress and stability professed by the Consortium. My parents, who were once pioneers in scientific exploration, now find themselves entangled in a web of uncertainties, a situation far removed from anything they or I ever anticipated. This discordance churns in my mind, a puzzle I cannot solve, diverging from every conceivable scenario I had imagined for our lives. The growing rift between the reality before me and the ideals I've long held is not just confusing, it's deeply unsettling. "Listen, Eva," Dad says, his voice more firm now, "we don't want this to distract you. You're close to finishing your studies and your future is bright. We'll manage." "But I can't just watch," I start, my emotions tangling into words. The thought of continuing my routine, attending classes, and discussing theories while they struggle is unbearable. "Eva, you've worked so hard," Mom interrupts gently. "Your education is something we've always been proud of. Don't let our troubles cast a shadow over your achievements." Their words, meant to be comforting, only heightened my internal turmoil. How can I pursue my academic dreams knowing they're in such a predicament? A sense of responsibility towards them begins to take root in my heart, a resolve to support them just as they have always supported me. "We'll talk about this more, okay?" Dad says, noticing my distress. "Let's not make any hasty decisions. We love you, Eva." The call ends with them assuring me that they'll be fine, but the worry in their eyes is unmistakable. I sit there, long after the call has ended, feeling a sense of helplessness. The tranquility of the campus around me now seems distant, an illusion when compared to the struggles my parents are facing. The prospect of such a drastic turn of events never crossed my mind. I couldn't have envisioned such a sudden and harsh shift in my parents' circumstances. Yet, this has become my reality too. I must step up to support them, to adapt. After all, isn't that what nature teaches us to do in the face of adversity? They tell a tale of unexpected struggles, early retirements, postponed pensions, a reality far removed from my logical world. I listen, the rustling leaves now echoing the intrusion of a harsher reality into my sanctuary. The trees' shadows lengthen, casting a darkness that reflects the growing unease in my heart. The contrast is sharp. I'm enveloped in the university's beauty and peace, yet now deeply conscious of its delicate balance. A sense of resolve is building within me. I can feel it. I may not have a clear plan yet, but I know I can't just sit back. As I walk back to my dorm, the wheels in my mind begin to turn, considering every possible way I can support my family in this unexpected crisis. In the quiet of my dorm room, I find myself staring out the window at the city's skyline. I can't stop thinking about today's events, intermingling with thoughts of my family's financial struggles. Yet I can't help but feel that these challenges are just unfortunate anomalies in an otherwise efficiently run society. As I watch the city lights flicker on, casting a warm glow over the streets below, my thoughts drift to what lies beyond our borders. The Consortium has always been a distant but benevolent entity in our lives. But what about life on other continents? What are their cities like? Their people, their aspirations? We never hear about them. The Consortium, in its wisdom, has always kept the flow of information secure. Trade in goods and resources takes place, but the exchange of information on the day-to-day realities of life beyond the seas is selective. Travel between continents is a privilege reserved for the few, guarded by protective laws. I sit here, contemplating this isolation. In many ways, we feel like islands unto ourselves, each continent a closed microcosm under the protective eye of the Consortium. I wonder if people elsewhere are comfortable with this arrangement. Do they too look out of their windows, driven by curiosity about life on distant shores? I realize just how limited my knowledge of the world beyond our city, our continent, really is. I've had a thorough education in science and mathematics, but there's an obvious gap when it comes to understanding the global society of which we're a part. It's an unsettling realization that makes the comfortably familiar skyline outside suddenly seem unfamiliar, part of a much larger and more intricate world than I've ever known.